Welcome to Hardwood Handicappers with Zach Cohen, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Zachary Cohen, VSiN.com senior editor with another episode of Hardwood Handicappers. Today is Thursday, March 19th. It is 9:30 a.m. Eastern, and today I am joined by Jonathan Von Tobel for a packed day of NBA news and games. JVT, how's everything going?
I'm really good. I am excited. Obviously, it's Thursday. It's the first day of the NCAA tournament, the first real day of the NCAA tournament. I know that you have been I think I could say this. It's a podcast. I'm going to say it. Balls deep in the NBA. So it has been absolutely fantastic to see your work, and I listen every day. But the NCAA tournament, Dan, there's something magical about Thursday and Friday,
Yeah, I think these are the two best days of the year. I don't really hate saying that. As an NBA guy, it's still just the two best days of the year. Like, there's just so much basketball. Games starting pretty much every 15 minutes. It's awesome. So I am excited. I am in my Wisconsin shirt. If you're listening and not watching, I'm excited. I'm a Wisconsin alum. We play High Point today. I think we're going to win. Everybody else thinks we're going to lose. I'm excited for it.
No. Not everybody thinks you're going to lose. I mean, I do have High Point plus 12.5. I don't know what the number is back up to now. I would assume I have no closing line value because that's the way my life works. I sit on a good number for a couple of days and then everything comes falling back down. But hey, man, just win by 10, okay? That's fine with me. And besides, I get your boys at 125 to 1 to win the whole thing, so I'm a believer.
You got a better price than I took it before the year, thinking there was going to be value in it at 100 to 1, and I'm not sitting here with any better of a number.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, dude, they got some impressive pelts on the wall, dude. They have a lot of good, strong performances. Obviously, 2 wins over Illinois, so I am surprised that number was floating out there. And I didn't expect them to be 20 to 1, but I thought that maybe they dipped to 70 to 1, 60 to 1, something like that,
Yeah, I feel like the Arkansas matchup in round 2 has everybody going crazy because everyone has A-Cuff fever right now. But man, we got a backcourt that can handle that backcourt.
The first overall pick, A-Cuff is what you mean.
Yeah. All right, well, we have a lot to get into, including some breaking news, which we don't normally do on this show, but came down 10 to 15 minutes ago, maybe a little bit longer. Cade Cunningham suffered a collapsed lung, broken by Shams Charania of ESPN. There's only 30 days left in the regular season. From my understanding, I was just kind of looking up, timetables for this. CJ McCollum, one of the more recent cases, missed 6 weeks. So it's getting really close when you kind of look at him being back for the postseason. And maybe it's a little late for this, but there's 13 games left and Boston's only 3.5 games back. So first things first, hopefully he's okay, because that sounds like a brutal injury. It sounds really scary. I don't know, breathing without your lungs, that sounds tough. But yeah, outside of that, there are basketball implications. I do think it's possible the Celtics leap them for the number 1 seed. I know that's going to take a lot in a short period of time, but I watched this team lose to the Nets without Cade. So I don't think that this is a team that's going to look very good the rest of the year.
I would obviously agree with all points. I mean, one of the things that we've talked about a lot with this Pistons team, when you look at them in the postseason and what their weaknesses are, is that they have no other offensive valve outside of Cade Cunningham to really create. I mean, the Spurs kind of laid a blueprint. If you got a good on-ball defender, you can shut him down, and then everybody else is not good enough to beat you. And that's going to be a problem for this team with how reliant they are on Cunningham to really generate their offense. So this could be a big slip, obviously, in the standings. My Cavaliers to win the division thing has been dead, but the collapse still has kind of been floating out there, just waiting to see who it is. So I'm with you. Celtics only 3.5 games back with the way that they're playing, the way that Tatum looks. I think that this is one where we could see them leap them. I guess my question would be, if these markets get reposted, is the fall as dramatic as they fall behind the Knicks? Would they fall as far as the 3 seed? That's the farthest I'm assuming that they can fall. But the Knicks are only 5 games back from them and 6 in the loss column. And also the tiebreakers, too, considering the head-to-heads have not gone well for the Knicks against Detroit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's crazy. I guess, I'm looking at their schedule right now. They have a game against Washington tonight. They could still win that game without Cade. They will play Milwaukee, who might be resting Giannis, Indiana. That could be 3 wins right there. It's possible still, because I don't know, this team, they look like a tanking team without Cade when you just kind of look at the roster. So I don't know. I don't mean to disrespect the Pistons, which, as I feel like I've kind of done all season, but it is an ugly team without Cade. So I don't know what it's going to look like the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it is a disrespect of Cade Cunningham. It's just the evidence that we have seen from this team presents as such. They're just not a great team without Cade Cunningham on the floor. They desperately need him out there. to be a team that is going to be formidable in the postseason. And when he's not, then that's going to be a problem. When you look at it, for example, and these are fine numbers, but when he's off the floor, they're in the 29th percentile of offensive rating. They're a good defensive team. They only give up 109.5 points per 100 possessions, but they only outscore opponents by 2.7 points every 100 possessions without Cade on the floor. In comparison to when he is on the floor, Detroit outscores their opponents by 10.8 points every 100 possessions. So they're a much better team with him out there. So you need to be able to find something, and if he's not going to be out there, then that's going to be a problem. So I don't think it's disrespect. I think it's just a reality of where this team is at right now. And look, in theory, the Knicks are 45-25. The Pistons are 49-19. Point differential wise, they're not too far back. They're a point behind them in terms of where they're at in those standings. So they're not that different in terms of what we have seen from them in terms of like a blind resume, if you will, when you look at both teams.
Yeah, like I don't know what you think, but if he's actually missing like 4 to 6 weeks, and we get into a point where they're missing, a couple games in the postseason, I think that they lose to whoever they face in the first round.
Which makes, let's go back to the last time I was on, because I know I couldn't make it back last week. It makes the Hornets stuff way more interesting, doesn't it? Because the Hornets seem that they're not going to break out of that bottom play-in spot. And so we'll see what Miami and Atlanta is. And I know in Charlotte right now would play Philadelphia, but if they get out of there and they get the 8 seed, and let's say Detroit holds on, I mean, Detroit is going to be in big trouble if it's a 1-8 matchup without Cade versus the Charlotte Hornets. Like, that's a really big deal.
Yeah, and I've gotten to the point, too, where, like, I'm pretty in on the Hawks, not, like, as an Eastern Conference contender, but as just, like, kind of a good team that could win a playoff series. So
those guys.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah, I didn't even think about the fact that, like, every year at some point I buy on the Hawks. But,
so, except for this year for me. Yeah. This year I was like, I'm washing my hands of them. This is stupid. I'm not doing this.
I didn't either, but I took it the other day. I mean, like, 3-4 days ago, they were plus 550 to win the Southeast Division. They were only a game and a half back. Now all of a sudden they're tied with the Heat and 0.5 back from the Magic. It's getting really close there.
Yep, it is incredible. I like that stat that's been floating around the during this 11-game winning streak. They've gone from 9th to 8th in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, the East is loaded, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really brutal timing. You hope that it's going to be closer to 4 weeks than 6 weeks. But yeah, I kind of just looked up with a quick Google search, recent collapse long, and it was CJ McCollum out 6 weeks. Maybe this would be a little bit quicker because there's incentive to get him back, but you never really know.
Do you watch The Pit on HBO?
I don't watch The Pit. I've seen the fake SNL ones about it, but that's it.
Because I was going to say, the other day I was watching an episode and the guy had a partially collapsed lung. So I guess there's degrees to which your lung can collapse, and the recovery, I guess, would be a little bit different. The Google AI said 1 to 2 weeks, the lung reinflates. But, I mean, that's when the lung reinflates. How long does it take you to get back to conditioning, all those sort of things? So I have no idea. And is there some sort of sensitivity afterwards? But either way, it's huge. And I would not, to your point, I would not like it. I know you have 2, but it can't feel comfortable.
Yeah. All right. So maybe it's closer to 4 weeks, and he doesn't miss any playoff games. That'd be ideal for them. Yeah. I feel like if he misses the rest of the regular season, they slip to 2, whatever. That'd be fine. Right.
And I would assume that's their biggest objective. Yeah. Is they don't care if they miss out on the 1 seed, as long as they make sure that Cade is ready to go to be, whatever it is. Let's see, even it's the 2 seed and take on Miami, Atlanta, whatever. But I will say again, Spoelstra and the way this Miami Heat team are playing, or the way that the Hawks are playing, that is no given when you're the 1 or the 2 taking any of these play-in teams. The play-in teams, oddly enough, it seems to be very similar. This is a very somewhat deep cut, but the Mountain West tournament, the other day, last week, when we went into it, the 4 teams that were on the buys were playing awful basketball, and then all of these 4 teams that were playing in the first round were playing incredible basketball. And it seems the same thing here at the Eastern Conference, where the top outside of Boston, you were kind of worried because Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte, I don't think Detroit wants to see any one of those 3 teams.
No, there's so many teams that are kind of getting hot down there that it's just a little bit uncomfortable for the teams at the top.
Yep.
All right, well, let's move into tonight's games. I think that, that we have a bunch of these garbage ones that I've kind of looped together. I believe you might have a play on some of them, and I've also got a pretty strong lean on one of them as well. So we'll just kind of throw them out there. I just want to, put them in their own little group. Pistons at Wizards. This is no longer a parlay leg that I'm willing to use. Cavaliers at Bulls. Bucks at Jazz, and 76ers at Kings. These were the kind of plays that I was looking at. If you are interested in, going to the anti-tanking parlay tonight, be my guest. I'm not doing it. Last night, I ended up losing on it, but I do think, it's funny. Adam Burke sent me a Slack message last night saying that the Nuggets had some brutal travel getting into Memphis, and I was not aware of it until after the show. And it was just a little too late at that point for me to just kind of turn my back on whatever, the brain dead parlay, whatever we're calling it. But they ended up being the final leg and losing in Memphis, and definitely had something to do with it. I would not think that they would lose that game without something kind of crazy happening to cause it. But yeah, it's not a night where I'm looking to go to this. And I know that you said you have a play potentially on Bucks Jazz. So what do you got there?
Yeah, I mean, look, maybe I'm crazy here. The Jazz are not really playing particularly well. They've lost 4 straight, and they've failed to cover 3 of those. You zoom out a little bit more, it's been a little bit rougher. I look at this and the way that I rate these teams, and I understand that the Bucks have covered their last 2 games, but really hasn't gone well for Milwaukee as of late. Are we really sure about this? I want to see what the injury report is. This is what we're waiting for here. But Bucks laying 5.5 on the road against Utah. I want to make sure it's a clean injury report, but that seems like a bridge too far for me. Miles Turner is questionable. Kevin Porter Jr. is questionable. If you get the wrong end of both of those injury reports or one of them, I just don't know what Milwaukee looks like. And if I get a relatively clean report for the Jazz, I'll take my stab with Utah at home here today. I know the initial, some overnights, I think first popped like Jazz -2. At least that's what the screen's showing me, but this is 5.5 across the board in favor of Milwaukee. And if I get a favorable injury report, I will go with Utah here today.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy to take the points if they're without Giannis. This team is not very good without him, and even if those two play, it's really not a situation where I'd feel terrible about grabbing some points with Utah. So I think that's a good look. I was also thinking that the Kings are a decent play tonight. I mean, just the 76ers are still playing without Maxey, Joel Embiid, and Paul George, and Sacramento.
And Kelly Oubre. Don't forget that.
And Kelly Oubre. And the Sacramento team, they are tanking, but they are still playing veterans. And you still got Doug Christie smelling his smelling salts before the game, which by the way, there's no good clips of a good coach smelling those things. The only 2 that I could think of are Adam Gase and Doug Christie, and those are 2 terrible coaches. But yeah, they're still trying, and they're playing at home tonight. I could see them winning tonight.
Hey, they're 8-5 against spread in their last 13 games. So they've been covering some of these big bloated numbers, and I think you would consider this one of them, considering the injury report for Philadelphia, playing absolutely nobody and still laying it on the road. It's funny that was actually on my short list of man, do I really want to do this type plays, especially on a day like today where, for funsies, I like to put a bet on every NCAA basketball game. So I'm going to have all of these games going on, and I'm going to sit there at the end of the day and go, we still got Kings and 76ers later tonight. But I'm with you. But tanking's hard work, Zach. Yeah, I think you have to underestimate that. And is it a salt? So I have yet to try smelling salts. I bought some, and the other day before I run, I tried it, but I think they were bad because nothing happened. But is it a salt? Because didn't he try to sneak the smelling salt under the nose of one of his assistants as well?
I did see him trying to do that, which is crazy. It's I guess when you're going to be fired, you do some weird things. I don't know.
Can you imagine getting hit with that out of nowhere? There's some of my favorite videos, these guys that sit there and are sleeping or something in their car, and all of a sudden they get hit with some smelling salts.
Yeah, it was like Mike Woodson too, an older guy. You never really know how he's going to react to it. I don't know. It could have been terrible, but yeah, it was hysterical watching him try to do that. Yeah, I don't know what those are like. Maybe I should try to.
Kings fandom, not the only thing that he's killing this year.
All right, let's go to Magic Hornets now, a game that I'm actually a little bit excited for.
Yeah.
This game tips at 7 p.m. Eastern. Hornets are 5.5 point favorites. Totals 225.5. I don't have anything on sides or totals here, but I did play LaMelo Ball over 20.5 points. I just think you look at some of the recent performances. He's had 21 plus in 4 of the last 6. Orlando, not the greatest team defending pick and roll ball handlers, just 21st in the league this year. And LaMelo scores 7.2 points per game in those actions. So if he's a little bit better than usual there, it could be a big game in that. And Orlando, not a great team defending in isolation, not a great team defending pull-up jumpers. I think that's the type of shot they prefer opponents to take. But yeah, LaMelo will happily take those types of shots and take them off one leg and stuff. So I think this is a game where he could potentially have a big game as a scorer, and does help him that there's no Anthony Black or Franz Wagner for the Magic, two of their better perimeter defenders.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, especially when you look at the injury report and what you're looking at from a player prop standpoint. Charlotte's interesting, man, because they've hit this little lull, and they snap back with a really big win against Miami the other day, which I thought was wildly impressive considering where they were at and what's been going on with Miami. But Orlando really quietly, I remember a couple of weeks ago, we've talked about this since the end of that stretch in February. They've been pretty serviceable for bettors. 9-5-1 against the spread. depending on where you look. They've lost 2 straight at Atlanta. OKC beat them up relatively well, but they stayed inside of that big number against the Thunder. I'm kind of tempted to go against Charlotte here if we're talking about it just from a side standpoint. I know some spots open 6. We're down to 5. I think that's the right move against Charlotte. I believe in this team. We've talked about their capabilities, but covering at margin against some of these divisional opponents, I know they did it against Miami, but I'm willing to take a shot one more time against an Orlando team that at least defensively is starting to show some of its old signs over the last 13, 14 games.
Yeah, I think there really is something to the Magic playing without one of the 2 stars on the floor. I don't think I'm not trying to say it's Franz's fault or Pal. It's just whichever one's out there with one of them missing, it seems they play better. So it's not really one or the other, but this team just doesn't really fit together the way that I think everybody would like them to. But yeah, they've been playing some decent basketball lately. They were as hot as the Hawks heading into their meeting a couple of games ago, and then the Hawks kind of took care of business at home. But yeah, it's been much better defensively. I think it's top 7 or so in defensive rating over the last 15 games. So It's definitely been a little bit better. And the Hornets, yeah, it's been a bit of a lull. Not really worried about them, but yeah, it's a game where probably having the points will feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, but look, the Hornets have impressed, especially in a lot of these spots, and even this little 5-game lull they've been on. They were perfectly fine in terms of establishing themselves in games like this. I mean, they've done it before, so I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong. But if it pops back up, if we get any buyback here, if we get back to 6, that would be my buy point again if I get it back.
Yep. All right. VSiN's Sharp Week gives you everything you need to bet every round smarter. VSiN's March Mania betting guide is out now. Inside this year's guide, you get profiles of every tournament team, trends broken down for every round, and strategies for brackets and futures from VSiN's top experts. You could download the guide right now for just $19.99, or you could become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get the March Mania betting guide included, along with daily best bets, real-time betting splits, AI-powered prop tools, and 24/7 video on the VSiN Watch app. Get your guide now at vsin.com/guide. That's vsin.com/guide. And that guide, even though the tournament starts today, will definitely help you out for the next couple of days. There's just such in-depth analysis on the teams, even the teams that you've never even heard of. So I think this is going to be a helpful resource for bettors for a couple of days.
I agree. I think Adam Burke, and did you write for it too?
I did not write for it. I'm going to be handling most of the game-by-game previews for the next 4 days. Adam took all the team previews, so that's kind of the way we've divvied it up over the last couple of years. But just insane work by Adam, like a ton of writing, and he did a really good job with them too.
Yeah, he tweeted out the other day. He's like, I'm so proud of the work our team did. I was like, our team? I responded with the gif of the dude whose hands turned into a million fingers, and he's typing a million miles. I'm like, that's your team. This is you. Yeah,
I edited it, but I felt like the meme of the guy on the subway who's pretending to help the train be pushed.
Or my favorite is the guy. You see the video of the dude when they're lifting the big heavy dresser and he's lifting it up with his pinkies.
Yeah, that was. I mean, editing it is difficult, but it's not writing every single team. There's so many teams that you get to write.
This is a safe space on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the best. How good is the writing collectively of the VSiN staff, not named Adam Burke and Zach Cohen?
It's good. We don't need to put a number on it. Everyone does a good job. They all get things in.
They're orators. They're not writers. Is that what you want to say?
They all have good plays. I like their plays. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the Lakers Heat. I love our teammates, to be honest. But yeah, let's move on to Lakers Heat. 8 p.m. Eastern tip. Like I said before, maybe it was off the air, but if I was not betting Laker games over the last 2 weeks, I'd be up a fortune. Yeah. And I'm down. So this team is this team has been completely depleting my bankroll. They have completely figured things out defensively. I don't know if it's, something that I still buy long-term. I really don't think I do, but I'm done kind of questioning it, at least in the short term. But yeah, this team is just scorching hot. 2 really impressive wins in Houston. Luka's playing out of his mind. Seen a lot of, tweets about this being child separation or child custody. Luka don't really like the joke, but it's just been insane ever since things happened off the court with him, that what he has done and kind of taking his game to another level. And yeah, it's a really bad rest spot for the Lakers, and one that I'm going to fade it again, but I'm not feeling just entirely great about it. And I know that anybody that's pro Lakers probably thinks I'm a complete moron. But yeah, what do you think about this game?
7 straight wins and covers for the Los Angeles Lakers, 10 out of the last 11. Sorry, I'm not buying it. This stretch of opponents, we do have to take, I think, into some account. We're talking about the Warriors, the Kings, the Pelicans. They go to Denver and they lose and they fail to cover that game. Then it's Indiana, New York, Minnesota, Chicago, Denver, most of which of these have come at home. And then I'm sorry, but you and I have talked about this. The Rockets are an extremely flawed team. They have no half-court offense. They're an awful group. I mean, the first game, especially when they played that in Houston as part of this baseball series, where the Rockets and Kevin Durant could not figure out. First off, he walks the ball up to the point where he gets called for an 8-second violation, and then he can't just get the ball out of his hands. Every time there's a double, you have no idea what's going on. I don't know if I would say that they have figured it out defensively. I think that they have reached a portion of their schedule which really works. I think this middle part of the Western Conference is very malleable, so an ascension with an easy schedule, I think, does make some sense. And you said it, like this is not a great rest spot or a great situation for them. Second leg of a back-to-back, third game in 4 nights. And on the road, by the way, out there in South Beach. I just think that this is probably one where if I'm a dude who just had, maybe lost custody of his kids and I'm on South Beach after a good couple of days, you know what I'm doing, and it's not taking basketball seriously. But in all seriousness, I do think at home for Miami, given the rest advantage and where they're at, I want to take my shot here against LA. And I think the market's probably going to really feel it. I mean, we see this all the time with Lakers games. We said it during the season, right? All throughout. Anytime the market got a whiff of this team being any sort of competent, it really freaked out here. And I think we're starting to see the two. The market's accounting for the situation. Open some spots 2, 2.5. We're up to 3, 3.5. I still think that 3 is playable, and I played it with Miami here today.
Yeah, I think the Durant stuff's like really shocking. Like I've kind of talked about it a little bit over the last couple of days, but it's like he's still such a fantastic scorer for a player his age, but something that's gotten way worse as he's gotten older is his inability to handle double teams. And like he's just coughing the ball up left and right and really giving away those games the last.
The Lakers
nights.
weren't even sending like intense double teams. It was just 2 guys putting their hands up and inching closer to him, and he was just like, "Holy smokes, what am I supposed to do with this?"
Throwing the ball away, stepped out of bounds once. Like it was just such costly turnovers 2 games in a row, and there were a lot of plays where it's like 3-on-1s for Houston. They just cough the ball up, goes the other way for an easy layup on the other end. I said it on Twitter, but like Mike Malone was ripping them to the point that like I think he wants like the front office to hear it and hire him. But it was just I think he was angling for that job. But yeah, really ugly performance in that 2-game set. But I do think that fading the Lakers is the right move tonight. I just think that the rest spot's terrible. Kind of look at the season; they're 1-2 when playing 2 road games in a row. The second of 2 road games in a row. Also, like the Heat have been really good team, at home against good opponents this year. Lakers just 7-9 straight up as road underdogs, and even with like this really good recent stretch from LA over the last 15 games, barely anything separates these two in terms of like net rating. Plus 6.9 for LA over the last 15 games, plus 6.6 for Miami. So with the rest advantage and with a pretty clean injury report, I'll take the Heat. I took the Heat minus 134 at FanDuel. Played that to win 1.5 units. So it would be another big loss if they lose. Hopefully I'm not just destroyed by the Lakers by the end of the season. But yeah, I kind of want to look back in a little bit and see if I did not take any Laker games this year, what I would be.
Yeah, that's I have not faded them as much here down the stretch because I think my policy has been to play against them in some good teams, and I just don't really think they've played any of the good teams here recently. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to have egg on my face. Obviously, I'm a Lakers hater as a Clippers fan, so I'm willing to stick my neck out there on this one. But I think all signs point to Miami here tonight to get this thing done.
Okay, well, let's talk about your Clippers against the Pelicans. 8 p.m. Eastern tip for this one as well. I don't currently have anything for this game. I did see, I think the Pelicans are now 1.5 point favorites. Totals 233.5. And
yeah,
definitely a little interesting to me because I do kind of wonder what the injury report's going to look like because they've been safe with Garland in LA so far. Kawhi was dealing with an ankle injury before playing last night, or did he not play last night?
He did. He played last night. He had like 28 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I thought he played. So I'm really curious to see if they hold guys out. And like the Pelicans did, smoke them last night. So I just kind of wonder if this is the type of game where New Orleans gets another win at home because I just think that these are tough games for LA to win on back-to-backs. What do you think?
I would agree with that when you're talking about New Orleans. And by the way, I mean, so this is something I will go back to, and I talked to you about this when Zion came back and everything like that. But New Orleans, I thought, was going to be a team that was just worth playing down the stretch just because we could talk about them having nothing to play for, but I think there is something to, Borrego wanting to build some continuity. this team trying to put their best foot forward with some of the assets that they have. Hey, look we're open for business if any of you guys want any of these pieces in the offseason outside of our young studs. And sure enough, and by the way, we'll invoke the Lakers one more time because one of those wins was the Lakers going on a 24-7 run to end that game against the Pelicans 2 weeks ago, in which the Pelicans were up by a wide margin and a blow in that game. I'm not still bitter about that at all. But if you look at the way that this team has been playing, again, 7 straight covers, 11 out of their last, I think it's 13. They've been a cover machine, New Orleans has. And to your point, I think you're right. So Kawhi plays less than 30 minutes yesterday. He was dealing with an ankle injury. Given the Clippers' patterns as we know them, I think that you're probably seeing a situation in which you rest your guys here today. The question, I think, becomes, Zach, and how they're going to handle this and how they're going to handle their players. Do they view the play-in and where they are seated as extremely important? I think they would, and the reason why I say that is they're only about a half game up on Portland for that 7-8 spot, or specifically the 8th. I don't think they're going to catch your Suns at all. And you want 2 cracks at it, right? You want the 2 bites at the apple, and they've already lost 3 straight, and another loss would be pretty damaging for them, obviously, in the race for that top situation, or excuse me, the 2 shots in the play-in. So maybe they try to give it a go with Kawhi. The way they've handled him is weird. Remember a couple of weeks ago where he had like 3 days off and then he didn't play a game against the Timberwolves, but then he came back and then he still played. So the way they've handled him has been kind of weird, but recent past would tell us they are going to sit him, but I do wonder if their spot in the standings makes them push him a little bit more, and he plays like 28 minutes again tonight.
Yeah, and then like adding to the weirdness is that he has played some back-to-backs this year when I think I would have expected him not to. So it's definitely something that I don't know we can trust 100%. Also think DeJounte Murray's probably going to be out for New Orleans as well. Like he played last night. I don't think they're going to be rushing to get him out there for the second leg of a back-to-back. I don't know. I think maybe that's where you look with like a player prop. Maybe you jump on some like Jeremiah Fears points. It's down at like, I think 12.5. Maybe you can get an 11. Yeah, you can get an 11.5, a little bit juiced. But yeah, 12.5 over on that seems like it might be, worth a shot. Also, like I think Sadiq Bey continues to be a guy that is underpriced. I mean, it's 18.5 tonight. He scores, it feels like he scores at least 20, like almost every night. I mean, he had 2 games against the Raptors and the Rockets where he didn't, but 19 plus in 5 of his last 7, had 25 last night against this team. And if there's no Kawhi, they become a little bit worse defensively. So maybe Sadiq Bey to score 19 plus.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense completely. I mean, I think too, for the Clippers from a player prop perspective, I don't like, even if Kawhi's not going to play or if Garland's not going to play, I do wonder. I mean, do we look at Chris Dunn? Because I have no idea who's going to take the primary ball handling and like shot creation responsibilities here. Mathurin was hurt, right? So he's not been playing either, or he's out. So that's going to be one too. Is maybe you look at Dunn. He's been taking some more threes the last couple of games. He's hit 2, so he's only averaging about 1 per game. But maybe you look at some over 3-point attempt, or 3-point makes for Chris Dunn as well, if they're going to play in that direction, just because they just might not have anybody.
Yeah, I had Dunn over 6.5 the other night, and he scored 9, so that was a nice little over. Yeah, it's like it's still going to be ugly if you take it. It's just there's going to be a little less hesitation than there normally is.
Yes,
so it wouldn't be the worst play, and they have a really strong, really good matchup. I mean, the Pelicans are not a good defensive team, so yeah, that's definitely worth kind of running down. And if Garland and Kawhi are ruled out, definitely jump on that. So yeah, I think that's a really good look as well. All right, final game of the night that I wanted to talk about. I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to add, but Suns at Spurs, 8 p.m. Eastern. Is that 8 p.m. Eastern? But yeah, Suns versus at Spurs. It is Spurs minus 9.5. Total 227.5. Third game in 4 nights for both these teams, but they did not play last night, so fatigue should be about equal. Really tough game to call for me. I do think that San Antonio is going to win this one. It just is a lot of points, and we just saw Phoenix in a similar spot in Boston the other night where like it looked to make a lot of sense to back the Celtics, but the Suns did find a way to keep it close, and they are a really well-coached team. So it's just kind of a situation where I think that like if I had to take something, I'd take the points, but I don't have a side or total here. Yeah,
I would agree. Is Grayson Allen going to play? He's questionable.
He's questionable. He's been really hard to call. I wish that I could guess for you, but like they have so much depth at guard that like they're really cautious with it.
I think I'm with you. Like if we're talking like 10, maybe even 10.5, the way the market looks like it's going. I mean, some spots open 9, and there's a smattering of 10s on the board. So maybe wait out for 10.5. But I would agree. I mean, I think this is a big number for San Antonio. To your point, for a team than Phoenix that is good enough defensively, even without Brooks. They're so well schemed. They know exactly what they want to do. They can get a little physical with Wemby. There was you could remember this. You're a big Suns guy. they've had a good showing against Wemby, have they not? Wasn't there a game earlier in the season in which they had a pretty good game plan and roughed them up a little bit?
Yeah, I was actually at the game and they just like completely shut him down. It was not what I was expecting. It was kind of like the start of them being like this good Suns team out of nowhere. But yeah, they were just pushing him around. But Dylan Brooks was on the court in that game, definitely handled some of that. So Brooks still out, and I do think that this has just been ugly defensively without Brooks. Offensively, you've been seeing some good stuff out of Green and Booker, but not always efficient.
Yeah, the last 3 games for them defensively have not been like the Suns that we're used to, so I do wonder if that's part of it. But I think I'd agree with your overall point. You give me 10.5 with a team that's as well coached as they are. It seems like it's a number they can stay inside of.
Yeah, and I did take Devin Booker over 27.5 points. It's minus 112. It's a really big number, but he's been scored 30-plus points in 6 of the last 7 games that he's played without Brooks and Mark Williams. And just kind of think overall having Jalen Green out there and Green scoring has helped him a ton because there's just so much pressure you could put on Booker when there's no other shot creator on the floor, and Green has largely been good. I think a lot of Suns fans are already like not enjoying the experience because there's already been some inefficient games, but I do think for the most part he's been good offensively. Looking forward to seeing what it looks like with Brooks in the lineup, but I do think that Booker's going to have another big game playing off of that extra, room he has. And this is a Spurs team that it's another team that like they prefer to let you shoot pull-up jumpers, and Booker takes 54% of his shots are pull-up attempts. So if he can knock down some of those, knock down a couple threes, I do think he will end up getting there. Also a really good PNR player in the Spurs. Not the greatest team in the league when it comes to defending pick-and-roll scorers. So I think this could be a good game for him.
Yeah, and I think to your point, too, some of the other teams in which they've taken on San Antonio, they've been kind of taking the same thing, which is like, you don't have like a ton of knockdown shooters. Let's play off your guys, and let's just see if you can beat us. And the Suns will probably do a little bit of that today, too.
Yep. All right, before we recap our best bets, and maybe I'll get your thoughts on some of these March Madness games tonight. And attention any listeners who are new to VSiN, signing up for our free daily newsletter is a great way to catch up. Delivered straight to your inbox every morning, VSiN's newsletter offers picks, data, and strategies for the day's betting menu. Sign up for free now at vsin.com/newsletter and start receiving your free newsletter tomorrow morning. That's vsin.com/newsletter. Stay ahead of the game and bet smarter with VSiN. All right, let's recap our best bets for tonight. And yeah, I'll ask you your favorite pick for today for March Madness, but let's recap what we have for Thursday. I have LaMelo Ball over 20.5 points at minus 115 versus the Magic. Heat money line minus 134 to win 1.5 units versus the Lakers. And Devin Booker over 27.5 points at minus 112 versus the Spurs.
Only official bet for me is going to be Miami at home -3 against the Lakers. Waiting for the injury report. If I get a good one for Utah and some of the key pieces out there, I will be taking 5.5 at home with the Utah Jazz. And I have not ruled out taking 3 with Sacramento either at home, but I don't know if I can put myself through it.
I think I'm going to end up on Sacramento. By the time I end up writing my story in a little bit, I do think there's a chance I'll add it, and I'll probably add a player prop for Pelicans Clippers. But yeah, that's all for today. I do want to ask you, but what's your favorite pick on the board for today for college basketball? I know there's a billion games.
High point, no.
To answer. You could say high point. That's fine.
from a number standpoint, so when we were on the air on Sunday, it was the first thing I bet. So I have 12.5. The market's at 10.5. So I guess that would be my favorite just because I have a pretty decent number right now. I think at this point, I do. It's early in the morning, so by the time your listeners are going to hear this, I won't use it because I like TCU a lot here today too. And let's go with Texas outright against BYU.
Yeah, I actually like Texas to win as well. I think it's going to be really ugly for BYU offensively. It's just been so much on Devonta since Richie Saunders got hurt, and I don't think that people realize that. I've actually seen people talk about that game as if Saunders is still healthy. So that's where you are, at this point in the season in March Madness, where just everyone becomes college basketball expert. But yeah, I think that that's a really good look. I'm on VCU. I think that that's one of the sucker underdogs that everybody has, but like,
whoa, Stormy about it. Tony loves VCU. What are you talking about?
No, it's like I have USF, I have VCU, I have Akron, so I have all the ones that everybody else has.
The USF one's not that crazy. I mean, obviously your second leading scorer is not there for Louisville. Like USF's a really good team. They've got some of those Nate Oates principles, right? Run fast, take a ton of threes, analytically sound. Like they're going to be a team that is going to be a pain in the ass, and Louisville's not by any means a world beater. So I don't think that's the craziest thing in the world. My sucker play too today is I like Troy as well. I have Troy catching the 13.5 against Nebraska too. So there's some sucker plays in there. That's fine.
My thing with VCU is like it's not even just about the Caleb Wilson injury. I mean, that is huge. Like North Carolina is just not that talented of a team without him. But I think that the big thing that like when I was kind of looking at the numbers, North Carolina just does not force turnovers whatsoever. And VCU is a pretty good team about taking care of the ball like on a good day.
Yep.
So I just feel like offensively they're going to have their success against the Tar Heels, and defensively not as much to worry about without Wilson. So I think that's a game where like you almost see the wrong team favored, but it's hard to have North Carolina getting points against VCU. I get that.
Yeah, see, not that crazy at all.
All right, well, that's it for me. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to add in terms of like futures or anything before we go, but it's been slow for the NBA the last couple of days. March Madness is going to have its moment, so we'll keep plugging away at this. But I know a lot of people are talking college.
Yeah, well, that and what's it called? We've run into these days where there's so many big favorites in the NBA. Like yesterday was kind of a boring day for the most part.
Yeah,
had a lot of blowouts, a lot of bad teams, and so we're getting more of those days often in the NBA where the games don't carry as much weight because you have a lot of these teams that are so bad running into some of these good teams, and you're like, oh, okay, there's like 6 13-point favorites today. I don't know what I'm going to do with the board.
Yep, and like those teams are up like 33 at halftime too. It hasn't even been close, and then of course the Nuggets lose. So yeah, it's it's been a little bit lame, but yeah, all right. Well, we'll let you all go. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, rate, whatever you can do to help us out. We appreciate any positive feedback, and make sure you join us for a Friday episode of Hardwood Handicappers. And best of luck tonight if you are tailing us.